lives.
Can I take a sentence from the course?
Sure.
If it, is it applied to ACIM versus are we live now? We're live streaming?
We are live streaming right now.
Okay, so in chapter 4, section 5, in the very first sentence, I always call it Fahrenheit 451 because that was the name of a book. All happens for the good. This is always true, except in the judgment of the ego.
It's true. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. All right. Zulma Gonzalez, A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. This mic is all yours.
I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Good morning. A thankful Thursday to each and every one of only one of us. Yeah, only one of us, regardless of appearances. Only one of us. So, um, I'll talk a little bit about what my life is doing. I drove out to New York on Tuesday to go see a sister, whose doctors have given her body a time limit. I mean, we know we all have a time. When I first started saying that, I wasn't saying it quite like that way. I was saying, the doctors were giving her body a time limit. I thought, wait a minute, all of our bodies have a time limit. But in her case, the doctor has told her more or less, what they think is going on with her, and she's, um, I don't know if it's so they found she went in the hospital for a what do you call it, pulmonary embolism. She went in for a pulmonary embolism, and while that was happening, they had drawn a fluid, and the fluid didn't look right. Blah blah blah. And turns out that cancer is in the pancreas, it's in the liver, it's in the lungs. It's moving about. It's moving about. Oh, thank you, Lindy. Lindy just invited me to. Thank you, Lindy. I'm going to New York, and I'll be back. Let me know where you are in New York. We could talk about that. You have my number, I believe. Um, Text me, call me, and we can talk about that. So, um, yeah. So anyway, so cancer is just, it's and it's interesting. When I talked to my sister yesterday, talking to her, she was talking about, everything she says, en el nombre de Dios, which means in God's name. That's her favorite. It, in any paragraph, you'll hear it at least 3 or 4 times. En el nombre de Dios, or en el nombre de Dios, en el nombre de Dios. And then she's telling me that in order for she says she wants to have chemo. In order for that to happen, she has to get up, and she has to be strong enough to get up. And she's a very large woman, and so she actually needs assistance to get up. She even before she went to the hospital, she needs assistance to get up. And she says to me, she says, and I'm scared, I'm afraid that I'll. And I stopped her right there. I said, wait. You aren't you the one who keeps telling me in nombre de Dios, in God's name, in God's name? I said, you have to pick a side here, fear or faith. Fear or faith. If you want to get up from here to go to chemo, to get chemo, then you have to decide that fear is not an option. And so we were talking about that, and that was and that stayed with me because in 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 many of our talks, that word fear crops up, fear. And we talk about it like it's the real thing that we made up. Like it's the real thing. Um, so that was on my mind. That was on my mind. And last night, I didn't get hit until close to 9 last night. I had to go pick up Lovable, who's sleeping in even more today. Um, I had to go pick him up, and it was raining coming from New York. It was raining when I got to Philly. Traffic. It took me 2 hours and 3 minutes to get there. It took me 2 hours and 46 minutes to get to the house where Lovable was, and then another 20 minutes to get home. It was over 3 hours. I'm talking to it was and I kept saying, this is the time to give thanks, Zulma. This is the time to give thanks because I wasn't feeling it. I was like, this is the time to give thanks. So I did. I gave thanks for the fact that I witnessed, no, I didn't witness it occurring, but I saw where an accident had occurred. I saw where somebody's car was stalled. I saw where there were police pulling people over, and I wasn't any of that. I wasn't involved in any of that. I wasn't personally involved in any of it. So I was giving thanks as I went along. But today, so last night I come home and I'm talking to my baby girl, who's 23 years old, by the way. I refer to her as my baby girl. She's the neighbor down the street that I've known since she was 8, and uh, she's a daughter to me, and to the best of my ability, I'm a mother to her. And anyway, so I said to her, I said, I have no idea um, about tomorrow. I said, and tomorrow's the hour and a half. It's the long time. So see, thank you, Lynn, for taking some time off of that. I appreciate it. Uh, I said, I said, it's the long time. I said, and I don't, nothing. And then I was saying to her, I said, but then I don't usually like really plan. It's usually like, I get that revelation, a couple hours before. And I said, so at the same time, so I said, but if something that you wanted to hear, what would it be? And she said, because see, she's been around me long enough. She said, release and let go. I said, release and let go. Sounds wonderful. And I thanked her. And I went to sleep on it. And I woke up this morning, and it wasn't directly what was happening in my head. So I was thinking, so release and let go. I said, well, gotta let go of the fear. I started thinking about my sister. It all just started coming together. So I got stuck. Um, Spirit stuck me with the whole thing on fear. A lot on fear. I will be, as soon as we get past our original introductions and stuff, I will be reading from Living the Science of Mind on fear, and of course, addressing the course that I go along, and hopefully there'll be lots of conversation on it because the course teaches, and all the other mental science teach that everyone experiences fear. We all do. So with that, as always, I will share my screen. That was my very long, would have been short introduction if I had any idea as to how I was going to introduce in the first place. It's just as I go along. So, of course, it's important to mind our mind. Mind your mind. Mind your mind. I was reading, what's her name? Byron Katie. I was gifted the book, Loving What Is, great title. And she says in her book that if you are feeling any discomfort about anything out there about someone else, you're not minding your business. Duh. And it was just, and I just like the way she worded it. I mean, it's nothing that I don't know, and I'm not really, really, really clear on today, but I just like the way she worded that. And that'll take me back to my sister again. But anyway, Dr. Ernest teaches that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And from the course, this is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level, because an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. Dr. Ernest's thoughts and things are but two ends of the same proposition. Since it is impossible to stop thinking, we cannot stop creating. Our choice is whether we shall create constructively or destructively. Going to tell a little personal here. So I think I mentioned it on Monday, not sure. I don't remember. But anyway, last Saturday, for the first time, I had made a comment about being angry. And I'm sitting here debating on whether or not I would talk about this because I might want to share this and don't know how. So I was talking about being angry with my sister. And it was something that I had been holding since 2008. Since 2008. Details aren't necessary because it's gone now. But it wasn't until last Saturday, that I actually said it out loud, that I was angry, and I was, given space to talk and to emote. And then I talked to a couple of practitioners on Sunday, because I needed to be freed up. Now, interestingly enough, I was supposed to go to New York last week. Had I gone last week and not had a chance to get that out, I would have been going there very pretentious, very, very pretentious. I knew that I was going to see a nephew that I had, that from Washington State, who I haven't seen since 2014. I knew that I was going to um, see another nephew, that I met in 2020, who lives in Queens. And I was surprised with a niece who came in from California. Uh, yeah, yeah, came in from California, actually from Puerto Rico by way of California, and I was excited about that. And my other nephew who lives with my sister, I was excited about that. But until I had a chance to talk about what I was feeling, what I was, allowing my invulnerability to come forth, I was kind of like doing the right thing by going to see my sister. That's how I felt about it. And having had a chance to talk about it, to let that fear go, that fear in the form of anger go. When I got there, not only was I glad to see her, but we talked for a long time. We gave her a chance to talk about, everything that was going on with her body and all that kind of stuff, and talking, and we sat and watched TV, and we laughed, and it felt so good. It felt so good. The course keeps keeps reminding me. I keep being reminded that, in order to let the love flow, I have to remove the blocks. I was blocking, and I was blocking, and pretending, that when we would talk on the phone, that everything was fine, and it wasn't. But oh, what a feeling! Oh, what a feeling to let that go, and to be in the space where I am. I do plan on going back within the next couple of weeks, because my niece is only going to be here another couple of weeks. To go back and see her, and see if we can connect with yet another nephew. And all these people, by the way, I didn't know them when I was young. I met them all as adults, as me being an adult and them being adults as well. I was my father's youngest child, and I was my mother's only child. But I was daddy's youngest child, the youngest girl. There's one under me. Um, and I had I didn't I just didn't get a chance to meet them until later in life, and it's really just so cool, to be able to connect this way. And all of this is giving thanks for everything, and in part because of my sister, because her son wouldn't be here from Washington State, just on general principle. um my niece wouldn't be here on general principle. So I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. But fear it blocks so hard, so hard. And there's a quote in the chat. It's directly to me, so I won't say where it's coming from. It says, anger is a spirit that separates us from the divinity in ourselves. When the divinity in me, when the divinity in this individual brought anger to the individual's ego, the individual saw its form. Being perfect love is slow to anger. Why? Because anger will come. It just is. I understand. It's a feeling, like any other feeling. And though we can't stop the feeling, we can decide what to do with it. And I had chosen since 2008 to hold on to it. Uh, and I'm grateful that I understand that I have the gift of choice. I understand that God is the mind with which I think. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I can see things differently. that I can desire to see them differently, and I can see them differently. I am grateful that there are no villains in my world today. No villains, which means that I'm not a victim in my world today. No villains whatsoever. I'm grateful for that. Fear has a way of creeping in, and sometimes I had someone tell me yesterday, someone who's was going through an anxiety moment. Well, it's only common sense. Nobody just wants to be afraid. Nobody just wants to feel bad. And and I said, no, not consciously. And it wasn't probably wasn't it wasn't a good time for to say that, because they were in such a space that they ended up having to get off the phone, and that's a whole other story. But anyway, um, but it's so amazing at the different ways that fear can get in, and we don't call it fear, we call it those other things, because the ego thought system gives us all these other names to call it. And in this case it was anger, and any way it goes, it hurts, it hurts. And it was to the point, I, because see, living in integrity is important to me, it's important to me. And I just couldn't see myself being in integrity had I not had a chance to talk about, really talk about what I had been feeling. And the thing about that, um, I was just reading one of Dr. Ernest's books, how important it is to talk stuff out, to find someone that you can trust, um, or to be trusting. That's, because sometimes if you have if you have a nature, if you have a fear of trusting people, then that's already a problem too. Um, but to find, to connect with someone, intentionally connect with someone, to talk about things, because stuff rolls around, around and around in my head without adult supervision. And my um conclusions are always the same. They're always the same. And the course says, resign as your own teacher. Resign as your own teacher. Just shut up. Zulma, stop. Yes. And Dove writes in the chat that trust, TRUST, which is to rely upon spirit totally. It says it would settle, trust would settle every problem now. And that's exactly right. I had to trust. I didn't but it had really reached a peak, because I couldn't help but talk about it. I didn't plan on talking about it on Saturday when it first came up, but it came up. It came out, and I was glad it did. I was in a supportive group section, a supportive group where it was able to do that. But fear has a funny way. I'm making the whole thing up, and and as much as I can sit here and talk to somebody else about their fear problem, I couldn't talk enough to myself about mine. What I was telling myself is that I had a right to feel this way, because she did this and she said that, and whatever. I felt that I was justified. I was being right in my pain. I was being right. And today I'm grateful to say, feeling quite happy. I'm feeling quite content. Quite content. So with that, I'm gonna see what the heck I put on these slides. Um, so I was looking at, and I started going this way and that, because I intend to talk about this thing on fear for quite a bit. Not just today. It's going to go on. I'm looking for conversation on it. I'm sure everyone at some point has something they would like to is going to find something to offer to this. I really have no reason to think that I'm the only person feeling this way. So I suspect at some point there will be others who will join along. So let me go in the room and see who's here. First, hi, Glorian. Hi, Carrie. Good morning, good morning, good morning. A thankful Thursday to you both, and thank you for being here. Who else I see? I see Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Cindy, thank you. Idelos, thank you. Of course, Lynn, of course, Dove, thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. So Um, on my slides, okay, now once I went into the Pal Talk room, it, I lost the other thing. How does that happen? They ought to do that differently. They really ought to do that differently. Because I can only see the Pal Talk room right now. There should be a way to be able to switch back and forth between one and the other. Makes it look like I have no clue as to what I'm doing. I have no clue as to what I'm doing. Oh, Regis agrees with me. They ought to that Pal Talk ought to find a way to switch. Yep. To just go back and forth. You have to drop screens and go up screens again. So anyway, I'm gonna start with miracle principle number 17, or parts of it anyway. Miracles are sudden shifts into invisibility away from the bodily level. And the reason why I highlight, well, let me read the rest of the thing. That's why they heal. That's why they heal. That's miracle principle number 17. And I highlighted that there are sudden shifts, and oops, the heck did I just do? That there are sudden shifts away from the bodily level. And the reason why I highlighted that, because I'm talking about fear. I'm going into fear, and everything about fear is focused on visibility, or at least a thought that it's visible, because fear is something coming from a made up place, but it's focusing on something that it can see. So we're talking something at the bodily level, what we call level 2. It's at bodily level. So, but miracles are sudden shifts into invisibility, where the see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is gone. Suddenly you see beyond the body, you see beyond the situation, you see beyond the pain, you see beyond all that, and realize the truth. Realize the truth. And it's nothing, and it says, and that's why they heal. That's the healing. It's a mental thing. Remembering, of course, that the um that the motivation for this course is peace. Peace. And it's about the healing, and that healing is through the mind. Miracle Principle 23 states that miracles arrange perception and places all levels in true perspective. And that's healing, because sickness comes from confusing the levels. So I had put these two together based on the part about the levels. They arrange perception and place all levels in true perspective. So we have the bodily level at level 2. We have the spirit level, the real one, at level 1. It's miracle principle number 12 or 13. Now I have to know. That says that miracles are thoughts. I think it's 12. Miracles are thoughts, and that they can be at the bodily level, or what in the world? That they could be at bodily level or at the spirit level, that one creates the spiritual, the other makes the physical. So at bodily level, we make the physical. I just have to check to see which miracle principle that is. Um, for those who are here listening with me, it is miracle principle number 12. Miracles are thoughts. Thoughts can represent the lower or bodily level of experience, or the higher or spiritual level of experience. One makes the physical, and that's the bodily, and the other creates the spiritual. And that's the truth, and nothing but the truth. So go back to this. All right. So, and miracle principle number 22 states that miracles are associated with fear only because of the belief that darkness can hide. You believe that what your physical eyes cannot see does not exist, and this leads to a denial of spiritual sight. This is why the workbook lessons tell us that, as we say, above all else, I want to see, because what I see is not really what's there. What I see is based on the past. That's what the workbook lessons tell us, that I see only the past. I don't see things as they are now. And what I'm really seeing, or what I think I'm seeing, isn't real, because all I'm seeing is my what I think about the thing, not the thing itself. It's never the thing itself, which is why I don't know what anything is for. I can't know what it's for. I can't know what it's for if I don't know what it is. That just all ties together and starts to make sense. Um, it ties together so beautifully. It makes sense. So I don't know what anything is for, and because I don't know what anything is for, I'm scared. What in the world? What am I here for? What's going on? What do you mean I don't know? I don't know what anything is for. What does that mean? How come it's not for? How come my anger isn't for what I think it should be for? How come what that person said or did, or that situation out there that's happening? How come that's not for what I'm thinking it should be? Why can't I be in pain and it be your fault? And I'm laughing at that because today I understand that makes absolutely no sense. Again, what I eat doesn't fill your belly, so what you think isn't has nothing to do with me. What I think has nothing to do with you, outside of the meaning that I choose to give it. But I'm over here in this world doing things from this perspective, from using this projection. It has nothing to do with you, not at all, regardless of what I say, regardless of what I do, and vice versa. For me to remember that whatever you say and what you do, and it may sound good, and I'm grateful for it. It might sound in a way that I don't like, and I may choose to get upset about it, but that would be my choice. Or I could learn to lead, continue learning, continue learning that I am the peace, and it goes wherever I go. But that's not the case when we're talking about now. We're talking about fear. The workbook lesson 48 in the course says, in truth, there is nothing to fear. There's nothing to it. There is nothing to it. It's not real. And that there's absolutely nothing that we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch to fear, because it's my seeing. If that's the case, I'm afraid of my sight. I'm afraid of my hearing. I'm afraid of my touch. I'm afraid of my sense of smell. I'm afraid of my seeing, hearing, smelling. I'm afraid of my taste, of my sense of taste. That's the fear. So really, I'm either afraid of myself, which is really what it comes down to, and I'm blaming it on everything else out there. In truth, there is nothing to fear, the Course teaches. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true. And that's thinking about this other person yesterday with this phone call and the anxiety thing. We call that denial, because they really believe, I really believed once upon a time that I couldn't stop using nicotine. I really, really believed it. There was no way I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And the universe, the law says, yeah, you're right. Yes. The law says, yes. Whatever you say, yes. Life is always evolving. So, yes. As long as I believed that I couldn't, I couldn't. But that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the truth. I was actually in denial. As it says, this leads to a denial of spiritual sight. I was too busy believing that I needed the nicotine, that what my physical eyes did see was the only thing that was real, until the truth became known to me. And that's how I became free. That is how I became free. All right. In Living the Science of Mind, I just grabbed a sentence out of it. It says, the healing of fear and anxiety is not to be found in any drug or physical manipulation. The cure is to be found only within our own minds. Where fear is the disease, we have to be our own doctors. And the Course talks about that, where it's written, where the voice is saying, don't ask me to stop. Don't ask me to make your fear stop. I'd be, I would be going against, a basic law, a basic law of life, a basic law of God. I can't do it for you. It's like saying, you ate such and such a food, and I got sick. Make my stomach stop. Make it stop. No. If I had an upset stomach, that's my own doing. It has nothing to do with what you ate. Same thing. So where fear is the disease, we have to be our own doctors. And I actually couldn't find that passage in the course. I couldn't remember enough of the exact words to go in and find it, but I can see it quite plainly. Oh, it says the correction of fear. There it is. It just came. It says the correction of fear is your responsibility. Let me see. It's funny how that happens. Isn't it wonderful how that happens? Correction. Let's see. Come on, type. Correction, fear, responsibility. Yep, there it is. Chapter 2, Section 6. The correction of fear is your responsibility. When you ask for release from fear, you are implying that you are not. All right, you are implying that it is not. You should ask instead for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. That's key. It has to come from within. It has to come from within. In fact, let me go back a couple of sentences on that. In the paragraph before that, it says, correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. Change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work. You can't fix it like that. You can't solve the problem with the same mind that you created the problem with. Can't do it. Just can't do it. All right, I am going to put that in there. And for now, because I'm not going to take too much time with this, I'm just going to make it blue so you know it's coming from the course, and I'll go back and fix all that later. But anyway, so yeah, the healing of fear. And then quite a bit coming from in the course where, there's no way that there's no reason for me to have to be afraid, because God is my source. God is my strength. God is my light. God is all there is. God is that which I'm a part of, that I am one with. I'm not going to say a part of, that I am one with it. And that's how the course says that I'm part of it. It's not something in me. I am actually part of it. And Joel Goldsmith, and Living the Infinite Way, he says that dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, by abiding in spiritual truth, by living in the continuous recognition of God as the only cause and creative principle, doing that it becomes operative in our experience, that the whole knowing that God is, that it becomes operative in our experience. He continues, when we dwell in this truth so that it becomes the very embodiment of our being, we no longer have any fear. The truth in which we are abiding and which we are permitting to abide in us becomes our fortress. A fortress. Come on now, we're talking about, the whole bunker thing, building something that can't be undone. It becomes our rock. And we come to a place in consciousness where we realize that this truth is our shield and buckler, our fortress, and our very good itself. When we choose to recognize that fear is not real, that it's simply not real, it becomes all that for us. So I am going to read from Living the Science of Mind. And I was going to put on the screen. I can do that. I can do that. And there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit. There's 2 or 3 sections from the. Oh, Lindy, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Zulma, it's amazing that today, when I tuned in, you're talking about fear. This is very timing for me. So as you were speaking, the divinity in me began to cause me to write so that I can deal with fear in a way where it doesn't where it doesn't allow the ego to cripple the spirit. And the spirit I'm talking about is what you mentioned, truth, or the absolute truth. I heard you say that. So here's the poem, or here's the words that I wrote down as you were speaking. I just wanted to share this while you were going on with the lessons so that I can see how the ego is being trained right now. Okay. Truth. Now, when you use the T for truth, I use the word truth because I wrote it in I don't know the word to use, diametral design, TRUST. And then I wrote the words out for each letter. So it comes out to something. So T is for truth. R removes us from trepidation. Then the second part of truth, oh, I'm sorry, the title is called Trust, excuse me. But as I broke down, because this is the issue that this ego be trying to cripple the divinity in me, always coming with fear. So the title of the words is trust. And this is how the ego is being trained. T is for truth. R removes, U is for us, from trepidation. The second part of trust is the word trust. T is for trust. R is remind us. US is for us. Trust reminds us. And then the last T is for trusting the divinity in all of us. So when I hear you, I have to see the divinity in everyone, not just myself. And so when I fear, who am I actually fearing? I'm fearing my own choice, my own decision, and my own way of expressing what I actually think what I actually think the thought is telling me to do, because you manifest your thoughts. And so I appreciate what you're saying. And as you continue, I think I'm going to get some more treasures out of this. But if you want to speak to what I just wrote about trust or about fear, how I can remove fear or I can train my ego to stop using fear to cripple my spirit, I appreciate that.
Well, first thing is you can't train the ego. The ego can't be trained. Oh, because it's not real. You're training nothing. That's the first thing. You can't train the ego. What the course has to say, I'm going back to I'm going to share the screen from where I was actually reading from the course. There's the section titled "The Separation and the Atonement." The chapter 2, section 6 on fear and conflict. So I was going to go one place. So let's do this. I'm reading from the course. Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. We can't first, let me go back to what you were saying. You can't use fear as a way to eliminate fear. You can't. You can't. I can't use fire to put out a fire. Being afraid seems to be involuntary, something beyond your own control. Yet I have said already that my constructive acts, that only constructive acts should be involuntary. My control can take over everything that does not matter, while my guidance can direct everything that does, if you so choose. And I'm talking about spirit here. Fear cannot be controlled by me, but it can be self-controlled. Fear prevents me, and that's the love, that's the spirit, that's the truth. It prevents me from giving you my control. The presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. And now that go back to workbook lesson number 12 that says that miracles are thoughts. Miracles are thoughts. It doesn't specify that they're this kind of thought or that kind of thought. It says one makes the physical and the other creates the spiritual. It doesn't distinguish between that, which is I found interesting. Miracles are thoughts. It doesn't say miracles are only the spiritual thoughts. It doesn't say that. It just says that miracles are thoughts. And that either way, something's going to come of it, is what it's saying. Something is going to come of it. Either you're going to have revelation and recognize and feel and appreciate your oneness with God, or you're going to go with what taste and touch and your past and your future, and you're going to come out of now. That's all fear does. It never wants to keep you present. And for follow up, chapter 13, section 4, the function of time. The function of time, which says that now has no meaning to the ego. It always brings you from the past. It brings the past into the present so that you can carry in the future, and you don't get to appreciate the present at all because you're too busy in fear thinking about what happened and what you was afraid is gonna happen. Now, I was told, and I heard it this way, that fear is really faith in a negative form, because faith or in trust is believing in what, and fear is believing in what you don't want. You're making it up. Either way, you don't see it. It's coming from the invisible to the visible. From the invisible to the visible. The fear is coming from the invisible. The faith is coming from the invisible. But the faith is keeping in line with joy, with peace. It's keeping in line with that. And fear is keeping in line with everything else. Anything destructive. The bodily things, as the Course says, the bodily, again, miracle principle number 12, the bodily stuff. In truth, workbook lesson 48, there is nothing to fear, because all you're fearing are your own thoughts. You're not fearing the thing. You're fearing about the thing. Your thoughts are causing the fear, not the thing itself. And I don't care what it is. You're a fire. You see a fire and you're toward it, and you're already before you even get anywhere near it, you're already starting to sweat. You're already starting to it kind of feel like you're burning because you remember that once upon a time you put your finger on the stove and you ended up burning your finger and how that hurt, and you're thinking about that happening now. That fire ahead of you is not what caused your finger to get burnt back when it did. So again, this is all our own thinking. So the presence of fear shows that you have raised body thoughts to the level of the mind. This removes them from my control, from God's control, from life's control, from spirit's control, from Christ's consciousness, and makes you feel personally responsible for them. This is an obvious confusion of levels. I do not foster level confusion, but you must choose to correct it. You must choose to correct it. You would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you could not help it. Why should you condone insane thinking? There is a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think. You are responsible for what you think. You are responsible for what you think. So if you think that that thing out there is a problem, if you think that that thing is something to be afraid of, that's the thought that you're choosing. And it's the thought that you're afraid of. The Course says, look at what you're afraid of. Only the anticipation will frighten you. The anticipation is what frightens you, not the thing itself. Not the thing itself. So why should you condone insane thinking? Go ahead, Regis. Hi, brother.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
I have no idea where that hand thing is. Oh, it's up. How did it go up?
When you put your hand up, it automatically kind of goes
Oh,
with it.
it's
Yeah.
smart. Look at that.
Sometimes it does that. Yeah, sometimes it does that.
Because
Yeah.
I couldn't find the button anyway. But just to join in as we are joined with Lindy and yourself, yeah, fear has definitely been a backdrop for me, which is very unusual. But I've just not freaked out about it. I guess for probably at least a week. Uh, and but I'm not judging it or trying to chase it off either. It's just noticing and learning. And what you're saying is reminding me of this again. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's very interesting to me that everything you're reading keeps saying it starts in the body. What we have to learn and start getting on to is that the ego thought system is so fast. Sometimes the fear in the body is present. Our life is so chaotic. And that doesn't mean drama, drama, drama. It just means the TV, what we got to do. I got to cook. I got to brush my teeth. I got to go to the store. Our life is, we don't notice it. So we're just going about being bodies and we're not noticing. And the fear is kind of lying there. And what it's doing is just it's waiting on something to attach to that you will believe. I think I said the other day, I thought it was hilarious. I'm laying in bed, watching TV, commercial comes on about these elevators that they can put in old people's houses so they can get to their second floor. So, and just like that, Prince died in his elevator. Just watching the elevator commercial. And then when that thought Prince died in his elevator, I felt all the fear that I could die any moment. You know, it just boom, and I'm like, that is crazy. Because I'm just observing this, like, because I have always said the ego is just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what sticks. And so the fear is lying dormant. Then something comes on about Donald Trump is winning and he's going to take over the country again. And so we think, oh, that's what's frightened me. No, that ain't, it's that learning to notice what is coming first. And I think this is why this area that you're reading from keeps pointing this out. It's a message here. It starts in the body, not with what I see, not with what I hear, not with what I smell. It starts and it's just lying there waiting on you to attach it to something, because it could be a smell. Is that smoke? I think I smell natural gas. Is the house gonna blow? It's just like it can start with the nose, the ears, the eyes, but I think it's very important to as we process this teaching today to really get that what comes first, the chicken or the egg, because we're so easily thinking, oh, it's my wife, it's my neighbor, it's the news I got about my family member, and because we're just trying to attach it to something. And so that noticing of the body, that noticing is what's going to really empower us to navigate through those fearful emotions, those triggers, or whatever it may be that's causing that to rise up. And thanks for listening, Zuma.
We're listening. We are listening. Because it's all of us. In fact, the first section from Living the Science of Mind I'm going to read is called The Contagion of Fear. I'm not going to start that. I may not even get to that today, but that's fine. The contagion of fear, because it's all of us. Not only, and you brought it up, Regis, not only might you, and I'm because I detach from that. Not only might one person be afraid that this particular individual may win the presidency, but as a result of the conversation that we have, well, see, you know why? Because when he did it, and now you know what we call race consciousness. We call it race consciousness, where everybody's attaching themselves to that thought. And I didn't make you afraid. But, you know, just like you're talking about Prince in the elevator. Prince, dying in the elevator is not what made you afraid. What made you afraid was your thoughts about it. It's not the thing itself. But we attach ourselves to a thought via a thing, and we think the thing is it. And sure, and it certainly could. We could all. Right here, I could my this next word might be my last word. I don't know. I could keel over right here and once you get that realization, once you came back to yourself with that, or as you continue to come back to yourself, that's like, wait a minute. Okay, so Zulma's sister was given a time limit, but there's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And I have not been given a time limit. No guarantee. Either way, we're guaranteed that we are going to leave the body. The body, we're going to shuffle off to the mortal coil. We are going to shuffle off this mortal coil. But we have this fear that this is going to, and then I tell you about, oh God, and now you're afraid to, oh yeah, but well, did you hear about this windstorms and the rain and we got to build a new ark. All this, and now you're walking around scared, gathering wood, because Zulma told me that, that the Lord spoke to her and told her that the new rains are coming. And we attach ourselves to this fear. We attach ourselves to our thoughts about something, and we have no real basis for it. We have no real basis for it. The fact that, using Prince as the example, the fact that gentleman made his transition in an elevator based on drugs that he was taking, by the way, has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. Mind your business. Mind your business. And that's what this woman is saying in this book, Byron Katie, in her book, Loving What Is. She's, mind your business. It's your business, has nothing to do with anybody else's business. My business has nothing to do with anybody else's business. I don't care if you and I were, we're following on the same path and we're doing this, to the best of our abilities, doing the same thing. What happens to you isn't necessarily what's going to happen to me. If you and I are walking toward a cliff and you decide to jump, just because I was walking with you up to that point, I don't have to jump. It doesn't have to happen to me. I have a choice. I have a choice. So I'm going to finish reading this section if I can. The truth is, you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. Because back to one sentence before that, you may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. What you do comes from what you think. What you do comes from what you think. You think a thought, and based on the thought, you decide what's next. What you do comes from what you think. So if you're choosing fear, you've made a choice based on what you thought. So, and as Regis says, we have to look at it, because we can't stop the fear from coming. We can't stop a thought from coming. That's the creative process is always occurring. We can't stop the thought from coming. We can make a choice as to what to do when the thought comes. That's where that's our gift, to be able to choose. I can slow down. The chapter 30. It's called Rules for the first section is called Rules for Decision. I mean, we can decide, and decisions are continuous. We're constantly making a decision. I'm deciding, I'm doing it quickly, but I'm deciding what my next sentence is going to be as I'm finishing the last one. I don't, and I can say, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to come out. I'm not consciously paying attention to it, but I want this sentence and that sentence to be cohesive to the best of my ability. I'm not really thinking about it with with, I'm not concentrating on it. I'm not concentrating on it, but obviously I'm thinking, because what I say, what I say comes from what I think. What I do comes from what I think. You cannot separate yourself from truth by quote, quote, giving autonomy to behavior. In other words, the devil didn't make you do it. The devil didn't make you do it. If the devil made you do it, then you're saying the ego made you do it. The ego can't make you do anything. Oh, I hear that a lot though. Yeah, because of my ego, my ego. And I keep about the commercial, the ego, let go my ego. I don't know why. Let go my ego. But my ego it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. The ego isn't real. That's the part that we make up. And the problem is that we attempt to make it real, call it ours, and then blame it for whatever. Oh, well, I can't stop thinking these thoughts because my ego this. I can't stop being afraid. I can't stop being angry, because when my family was angry, I was raised angry, but because my ego, your ego, if the course says it's written that the Holy Spirit says to act as though you're not an ego. So, which means that you have the power to act as though you're not an ego. This information, this was given us in this book, is not just willy-nilly. It is not just willy-nilly. We are responsible. So whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed spirit to guide it. I need to go back one sentence because I skipped it. Your behavior is controlled automatically by spirit as soon as you place what you think under spirit's guidance. In other words, don't give the ego food. Don't feed it, because that's how you make it grow. You're making absolutely nothing grow. It's like being in a room that's almost dark. So then you go and you pull the shade down to make it darker. Feeding the darkness, so to speak. However, you can step back and you flip a switch. Poof, it's all gone. It didn't leave in increments. The light came on and the darkness is gone. The darkness was never really there. It was just an absence of light. It's always light. There's always light. You can close your eyes right now and you can still see. Close your eyes and you can see. You can see the light that's in the area. Yeah, and if you don't believe that, then you put your hands over your eyes and suddenly it gets darker. But when you close your eyes, you can still see. Anyway, whenever you are afraid, it is a sure sign that you have allowed your mind to miscreate and have not allowed spirit to guide it. It is pointless to believe that controlling the outcome of misthought can result in healing. When you are fearful, you have chosen. I'm lost. I got lost. When you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. Simple as that. You've chosen to hurt. Basically, you've chosen to hurt. Now, of course, we say there is no right and wrong, that all things work together for our good and all that. Yes. But it hurts. If I'm feeling pain, I've chosen a fearful thought. Do I want the pain? And this is what Regis is talking about. You have to look at it. You got to look at it. Even if it's, oh man, I'm doing it again. Look at it. Look at it. And then you decide, do I want to keep doing this or do I want to do something different? So there's the answer to the question is always a decision. You get to choose. When you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly. And that's why you feel responsible for it. You must change your mind, not your behavior. And this is a matter of willingness. You do not need guidance except at the mind level. And if you feel like, I can't, like me with the nicotine, but I can't, reach out to someone who can walk you through it, talk you through it, find you another passage in the course, give you another book to read. We're in this thing together. We are here to we're each other's saviors. We're here to take each other home. Go ahead, Regis.
Yeah, good point. And I was thinking the same thing. We feel if we don't think about what we're thinking about, um, the fear comes whether and there's a sense of obligation to justify it, and instead of that tendency to try to justify, well, I don't like this feeling, I'm feeling this way, so I got to justify it, I got to blame it on something, it's got to be a reason. And just what you was going into, this is where you can, the quotes that we so often use on other people, they really for us to use on ourselves. This is when I say, I'm not a body. I am free. I'm still as God. This is, I trust my future in the hands of God. This is when whatever your, everything works out for me, easy peasy, nice and easy, whatever. This is when, instead of trying to nurture that obligation to justify the fear, to say no, because again, it's what you do next. It's what you decide next. Am I going to look for an excuse and a reason for the fear, or am I going to speak the truth of who I am? Am I going to think loving thoughts? Am I going to say loving words? Am I going to say what is true? Fear is false evidence appearing real. So am I going to continue to build on what is false? Or what do I know? Just anything that I know can really negate that sensation, and that fear can cause it to kind of quiet down. What do I know is true? I know I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm still as God created me. What do I know? I know that I can trust my future in the hands of God. I trust my brother who is one with me. So this is where our affirmations, our mantras are really being put to use in doing some of their best work, is when we really start to learn. It ain't so much that I impress you with all my quotes, but it's really when I'm laying in bed and I see an elevator and I think about Prince died in the elevator, and what am I going to do next? What am I going to say next? Thanks, Zulma.
Impress yourself with your quotes. There you go. That's the time. That is the time. That is the time. Because we can't control something. You said I was going to go to another place of the course, and I can't. Oh, in workbook lesson 1, Lindy, hold on to that for yourself. Chapter 2, section 6. You hold on to that. But I'm going to go somewhere else for a moment. I'm going in the workbook. I'm going in after lesson 50, review 1. My favorite, some of my favorite stuff. This is the stuff that I have to remember. I come down to paragraph 4. I come down to the second sentence. This is me. It's necessary that I learn to require no special settings in which to apply what I have learned. It's the times when you're feeling that fear, when you're thinking those thoughts, that's the time to bring it back. Bring it back. Stop, because you have to stop. Workbook lesson number 7 says that miracles are everyone's right. Miracles are thoughts, but purification is necessary first. Purification is necessary. So I have to stop. Here's where the atonement comes in. Undo, 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 because that's what atonement is. Undo, undo. Look at the thought. Wait. I don't have to stay in this thought if I don't want to. Wait. What do I know? What do I know? Oh, there's nothing to fear. What does that? There really is nothing to it. Oh, it's made up thing. What was that? Oh, the ego isn't real. Huh? It's not real. So if I'm saying it's my ego, then what am I saying? I'm saying nothing is real. It's like when I talk about, you tell me you're holding a grudge, and I say, let me see it, and you can't show it to me because it's not real. It's not real. But it says here, it'll be necessary that you learn to require no special settings in which to apply what you have learned. But for me, it's like at the time when things are feeling uncomfortable, that's the time to apply what I have learned. And it says here, you will need your learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting, in the situations that appear to be fearful, in situations that appear to make you angry, in situations that appear to make you depressed. You will need your learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting rather than in those that already seem to be calm and quiet. Because if I'm cool, I'm sitting here right now, and I'm stroking puppy. He's doing fine, and everything is just fine and wonderful. But as if he ran out in the street and, broke the leash and, and a car is coming, that's the time for me to holler, spirit. That's the time to bring it in. That's the time to remember what I have learned. That's the time to, to recognize that everything I see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is temporary. Everything, every bit of it. You will need your learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting rather than in those that seem to be calm and quiet. The purpose of your learning, and here it is, the purpose of your learning is to enable you to bring the quiet with you and to heal distress and turmoil. The purpose of this learning is to enable me to bring the quiet with me and to heal distress and turmoil, to be able to tell the fear, shut up, shut up. FEAR, face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. FEAR, face everything and rise. Tell the fear to shut up. This is not done by avoiding it or seeking a haven of isolation for yourself. Oh, well, see, since I'm worried about the leash breaking, well, I'm not even going to take the dog out. It just, You will yet learn that peace is part of you. I'm one with God. I have a Holy Spirit thought system. I have a thought system available to me at a moment right now. I have a thought system that's available to me that will help me come back to a place of peace, that will help me remember that I am loved, that will help me remember that I am safe always, no matter what. I am safe because I'm not talking about this body. It's just remembering I am not this body. I am free. I am free. I'm in a state of grace forever, but I am still as God created me. I am and forever will be as God created me. I'm not talking about this body, this gorgeous body. That's not, But I am free. Go ahead, Lindy. Lindy, your mic, you're muted.
Um, uh, Zulma,
Yes.
unbelievable. You know, when the fear came, because, the course teaches no right or wrong. It's just the choice you make or how you respond to what comes. When the fear came, and I thought, oh my goodness, what the hell? And then I said to myself, unbelievable. But I resolved with a choice. I said, I'm not going to sow no discord with my divinity in me. I'm just not going to do it because it's going to disturb the peace that the divinity in me gave me. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And the fifth paragraph says what you just said. You will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. Just be there to embrace the situation. I'm engaging with God. I'm choosing not to forget. I'm not letting my mind wander. I'm remembering that there is nothing to fear. I'm remembering that only my thoughts can injure me. I'm remembering that there are no laws with God. I'm remembering that my life is in the hands of God, but my future is in the hands of God. That's the time. All that bring it all in. Bring it all in. and the fear dissipates. It dissipates. You will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. Embrace, hug it, hold it, inhale it, get intimate with it. And finally, you will learn that there is no peace to where you are, so that peace is everywhere as you are. And that's what Joel Goldsmith was saying. Let me drop this and go back to Joel Goldsmith. And before that, let me read what Dub wrote in the chat early on. This was way back at 11 minutes after 10. He wrote, if you feel courage, love your courage exactly the way it is. If you feel fear, love your fear exactly the way it is. If you feel love, love your feeling of love exactly the way it is. If you feel anger, love your feeling of anger exactly the way it is. Love your body exactly the way it is. Love the objects you see exactly the way they are. Love the people you see exactly the way they are. Love the people you see exactly the way they are. I had to read that more than once. Love your actions exactly the way they are. Love everything you feel, think, say, or do exactly the way it is. Oops, I lost my space, lost my place there. Love everything other people do, feel, think, or say. Exactly. Love everything you see, taste, touch, smell, or hear exactly the way it is. Love, let all things be. That's what he's saying in a nutshell. Workbook lesson. Let all things be exactly what they are. 193. Let all things be exactly as they are, because we really don't have a choice but to let all things be exactly as they are. I have no choice. It is what it is, which is why Byron Katie's book is titled Loving What Is. What it is. And being willing to look at it, not analyze it, not judge it, not try to dissect it, not try to turn it anything. Just let it be. Just let it be. Just let it be. Just let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Spirit comes to me speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. Let it be. You will yet find that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. And finally, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. We always have that choice. We always have a choice. But in the moment, and that's what Doug was saying, to be with it. Because unless you look at it, you can't solve the problem until you look at the problem. Until you realize the problem. Say, hey Karen, hey friend, I'll call you later. We can't solve the problem until we look at it. Now, that doesn't mean to sit and ruminate in it. Oh yeah, that's so and so. They did such and such, and that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about that. Look at it. Look at the facts. Just the facts, Jack. Look at it. Just look at it. What it is. Just it. Without any judgment. Just look at it. Okay, so what actually happened? Such and such. How do I feel about it? And that's what we got two separate things going on. That thing over there is what that is. The way I feel about it is something else. And if what I'm feeling about it, I am minding its business. Mind your business. Mind your own business. Mind your mind. That's how I started. Mind your mind. Let me find all that stuff back on the screen where we were before. where is it? Joel Goldsmith. If you're dwelling in the secret place of the Most High, abiding, I'm talking about embracing. I'm talking about embracing, engaging, abiding in spiritual truth, abiding in spiritual truth, abiding in spiritual truth. You're living it. That's living in it. That's living in that truth, living in it. Remember that we are in God. We live, move, and have our being in God. We're in it, all in it. Abiding in spiritual truth by living in the continuous recognition of God as the only cause and creative principle. That's how it becomes our operative experience. It becomes operative in our experience. God becomes so real that no matter what comes, we can look at it, give thanks for it, because as Dove reminds us, our triggers, it's our triggers let us know where the healing is where our healing has to come. By being in continuous recognition. When we dwell in this truth so that it becomes the very embodiment of our being. Hear these words, the embodiment of our being. It becomes my body, so to speak. It becomes me. It is me. It is me. Not something I've just learned, not just something Joel wrote, not just something these other teachers wrote, but it becomes the embodiment of our being. When I take this thing on as me, we no longer have any fear. The truth is, we are abiding. The truth in which we are abiding and which we are permitting to abide in us becomes our fortress, our rock. We come to a place in consciousness where we realize that this truth is our shield, our buckler, our fortress, our very good itself. It becomes everything. It's everything. Why? God is my source. God is my strength. God is my light. God is what I am. The truth, let the truth be what it is. Let all things be exactly as they are. Look at it. Look at it. Don't judge it. Just look at it. What's the facts? Put that over there. What am I feeling? Put that over here and deal with the feeling. Forget the facts, because there's no point in lamenting the world, the Course teaches. No point in lamenting the world. No point in lamenting the world. It is incapable of change. No point in trying to change the world. Choose to change your mind about the world. And with that, family, this is, I love how this went. I had no plan. That works out better sometimes. We drop this. And Lynn, I'm going to give you the mic.
Thank you so much, Zulma. A wonderful sharing. Thank you, everyone who shared. It's awesome. I'm going to stop the YouTube stream right